All right, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Rippily Show. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. Always a thrill to be here with you on the show today. And today's topic could not be more perfectly timed. We spent the entire month of May talking about specific use cases of virtual communities, virtual spaces here on the Ripley platform. And coming up, we have a really exciting event. We have actually been talking about it in the Ocean Report here on the Ripley Show. And our topic today is specifically events, expos, open houses, and self led spaces. Now, seems like events, expos, open houses, and self led spaces are in two completely different arenas. And in some cases, they are, but there's something really important that those spaces have in common. And that's that people need to know how to lead themselves through the experience. You're not always going to be there with them every step of the way. Coming up on today's show is someone who knows a thing or two about bringing people together in virtual environments. Peggy McCartha is here today. And as many of you know, we are coming up on the Global Business Expo here on the Ripley platform. And so when most people think about spaces, they think about the speakers or schedules or booths or presentations. But increasingly, one of the most important questions that organizers for events are asking is, what happens when people are exploring without me? Because some of the most powerful experiences don't always happen when a host is talking or when a speaker's talking. They happen when someone's wandering around, discovering, clicking, exploring, following their curiosity. And that's where self-led experiences become really fascinating. So how do you create a space where someone can arrive, understand what to do, navigate confidently, and leave feeling like they got value? It's a lot to juggle at one time. So that's exactly what we're going to explore today. So let's dive into the art of creating experiences that work even when no one is holding up a map. But kicking off things first, we have our Founders Corner with the amazing Claudio Perrone. Welcome, Claudio.
Yay.
Always good to see you. How was your weekend?
It was interesting. I was, just prior to the show, Peggy was asking around, one thing that made you laugh, and I was out of, I couldn't think about anything, and just now it occurred to me what happened just very recently, i.e., yesterday, where I had two deployments and a rollback. And it was like interesting, especially because on LinkedIn I wrote a post about zero bug policy,
Mm,
which basically doesn't mean, obviously there's no bug, but it's more like to say bugs take precedence, right? So if I before I start building a new feature, I look at the bug list to see, am I in control of this? Can I actually fix them? So I
right.
definitely have a near zero bug um, backlog where, the only ones who are open are basically like libraries or services that I don't quite control, and it becomes a really hard to fix upstream, which I
Mm.
still try to do anyways. But yeah, it was. I thought it was just funny yesterday. Zero bug, just wrote, and then like boom, redeploy and roll
Yeah.
back. That made me laugh.
Yeah. I was thinking about it too after we were talking about it. When you're given a quiz, a question, sometimes you can't think of something right off the bat. But I was
Yeah.
thinking about my dad was visiting from out of state over the last couple of days, and I had brought him in to Ripley to say hello to you. And but we were having a conversation with my children about math class, and it was so funny because my dad says, I always loved math, and one of my favorite things was Boolean variables. And I thought to myself, hey, we know something about that. Those of us that have been playing together here on Ripley, and we've been doing a lot of those variables during the Ripley dive. And so it was just one of those really funny moments because we've been working with that so much, and everybody's laughing in the chat now because they know how much variables have been a fun time. And so I was like, I felt like, oh, I know that now. I'm good with the with the Boolean variables. So that was funny.
Yeah, I'm slowly turning everyone into, programmers.
Yes. And it was fun for me too, because maybe that's where my interest in, in all of that comes from too, is with his interest in it. So it was fun anyway. And we have had, I know you've been working really hard as always on a lot of things behind the scenes of Ripley. And one of the things that I think it wasn't really important to me until more recently, when you start to understand how you build. We've been talking about building and use cases and all of those things. When you start to understand how the way that you build impacts the people that come into the space, you start to care about things like performance of the space. You start to care about how heavy is the room. Can it even load for people? I don't even think I realized how much of an impact we actually have on that, that process of people coming in and having a good experience. So one of the things that you've been working on behind the scenes is the performance report. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to show maybe, but for many years I worked for a startup accelerator, and you can imagine, right? You create a lot of landing pages, and every second matters, right? Because if the page is basically really really heavy, then it takes forever for someone to load it in their device, and they're gone. You just don't have a second chance. That's it. And with Rippily, we also need to learn and understand that the rooms where we are in, they are very interactive. They have a lot of graphics as well, and sometimes they may be like too heavy. And I've been spending a lot of time trying to educate people on, what kind of file would you use for a background, how big they should be, or other elements. And very often you get surprised because you see, as I've seen in a room yesterday, where you would have like a little image. I mean, it's displayed like really, really small, and it's an animated GIF of 23 megabytes. And you may think, oh yeah, but I'm using an external server. I'm not using it in Rippily. Well, in Rippily as well, like I have like a network of external servers right now where people download their image, and it may be close to your house. It may be actually the server, maybe even the data center may be beside your house. It doesn't matter. You still need to download 23 megabytes of stuff in your mobile phone, and you're not always on broadband. Maybe you're outside and whatever. So again, we cannot know in advance who the users in our rooms are, in our communities are, what the situation is, which is very contingent as well. And so there is basically a physical law, right? If you go back to first principles, there are things you cannot break. One of them is the fact that, in a 5G connection, you have limited amount of resources that you can download. So anyways, I'm tired of explaining this because people don't seem to listen. They love the rooms, they keep adding stuff, and it's like, well, you know what, let's do a report. And it was once asked, oh, can you do a report? And once I did it once off, and then the idea was, well, you know what, let's make it available to everyone. So how do we do that? You're showing it there, right? We have that icon in editor mode on the Ripple. I bet you took a proper room. You don't want to show it.
No, I'm happy to show it because I don't think this room's that bad. I did pick one.
Okay,
I knew wasn't
embarrass yourself. Come on, let's go. Generate it.
All right, here we go. This is what the report looks like.
Okay, 81 is awesome actually, but I mean the number there is not the big thing. It's more like an indicator to see do I need to be concerned, right? And so it tells you, yeah, it's like the sandwich kind of system. What's already great, and then in the middle you put the stuff that it's not that great, and then you end up in a nice concluding words. But
Yeah.
seriously, if you just go, there is the number there is the least important. It just gives you an idea. If you go on the overview, you see, okay, 2.5 megabytes for the kind of rooms that we have is, it's acceptable. I would say more than acceptable as you go, especially because very often we have like different scenes and everything accumulates. You have especially the first scene download is important because that's the
Right.
very first experience that people have, and so it's got a bigger balance in the overall number, right, that you get in the overall score. um, just gives like some rule of thumb, some idea in terms of how fast it loads. But if you keep going down, you will have, for example, in this case, all your assets are pretty good. Otherwise, you would see something more. But there, actually, this is not bad, is you see the list of assets in your room. So you see the format, you see the original size, you see the sizes shown up. And sometimes there's a big gap. For example, I see that PNG, I mean, it's still small, so it's not a big deal. But you have like a PNG shown at 180 by 180. Sorry, shown on a smaller side, but the original size is bigger, right? And so
Mm,
sometimes you look at that and you say, actually, if I resize the image at the exact size that is shown, that would be an optimization that people would have zero impact on people, right? They wouldn't
yeah.
see the difference. Unless, of course, it's a poppable image where you click and then it expands. The other nice thing is you can click on the link. For example, if you click on the big background there that you have, or any image, yeah. If you click on that one, it will open a tab, which probably you may not show. Yeah, there we go. And it shows the image itself, so you can find out immediately what image we're talking about there. And
Right.
again, it's an idea of going back, look at your rooms. Today, I had the chance to talk to one of our members, and she realized, oh my God, I need to review all of my rooms. Yes, do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and overall, is a better experience for your users.
Right. And you have some other things on here, which I'm sure will love that I got 100 out of 100 on there. I'm loving that I picked this room and not one of my
Yeah, but interactivity, honestly, all my rooms, I think, have 100. I think most rooms
Yeah.
would have 100 if you start actually doing a little bit of work like that. It tells you about the effects you use and some recommendation. But
Yeah.
generally wise, it's about, resizing images or changing format. Some of these formats are either, very not well optimized, like
Mm,
animated GIFs would be particularly hard to, you know. So anyways, that's the idea. And the great thing is you can do it in any of if you're an editor, you can basically do it on any of your ripples. So you can check them out. And I'll give you, so basically I just gave you just an extra opportunity to waste time in your rooms.
yeah.
Not thinking about how to bring people in, how to host better. No, just let's play with the rooms.
Yes, yes. And as you mentioned, when you go in the editor, you see some buttons at the top of the screen. You have the help center, the report bug, and you'll see this one that looks like a sort of health check here, like a heartbeat
Yeah.
sort of icon, and it says room health check when you hover over it, and you just click it, and as soon as you click it, you get that downloaded report, which is it's so comprehensive. There's so many things that are in that, like you said, it breaks down every individual image in the room. There's no guessing, like we've all experienced, whether we've built websites or maybe we have been a part of other virtual spaces before. It's always like, why is this so heavy? I don't know. And then we have to sort of guess and try to figure it out. This makes it so simple. So simple.
Yeah, and it is, a very decent first pass to this feature. I'm sure in the future, I'll bring more information in it, but I think it's a good start.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
there's also maybe another thing that we want to talk about,
Yeah.
which I just introduced. which is in the Discovery tab, right? If you go to Discovery,
All right, let's head back over there here.
and especially what's happening now. Yeah, so here we go. Actually, perfect, right? So we have two different kinds of events that are happening right now that are listed, right? There's other events that are unlisted, and that's okay. But what we have right now is we have like the Good Gather, for example, is a members only event. Before you had to click on it to really realize, oh, I'm not a member. Maybe I should join the membership or whatever, but I'm not a member. And where right now you can see it's private right away. And so when you click on it, it will go to the Wave page. But the one where, yeah, you see, so you go there, you may request to join and so on. Don't do it. I mean, unless you want to join, of course, you can ask Marisa. However, the other one is this one here, which is drop in. And when you hover it, it says visitors welcome. Okay. And the reason is quite simple. We've been talking about this. I wanted to have less surprise, right? To eliminate, don't make me think, am I welcome or not in a Ripple? And the idea there is that by default, you're welcome. By default, you're welcome. And you don't have to set manually states in any way, because people will forget about, moderators will forget about those states. So the idea there is that if something is listed and not locked, so there are 3 states, either drop in, locked, or private. Maybe we will come up with other ideas, but so far this is what it is. So it's open by default. So people are absolutely invited, and I think in the majority of cases this is the case. If you do not want to invite people, don't be listed. List yourself.
It's time to make friends with your lock button, everybody.
Exactly, or simply lock it, which is okay, because we lock it's very advanced as a feature, and so you can decide who comes in and who comes out. But people will see that it's locked.
Right. And can I talk about my favorite thing about this update, Claudio? Can I say it? I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm so excited, guys. The image, the thumbnail for what's happening now is the same size as the thumbnail image for the room. I think that deserves confetti and because there are certain people in this room who have heard me go on and on and on about that.
You spare me with that. Like I heard it maybe once.
Yeah,
like
I did.
I'm so
sorry.
Consider in the future. No, but it wasn't. It was something like just the observation that the image that is created is designed for creating a ripple had a different. It's the same image, but basically it's displayed with a different ratio in the happening now. No, that's doesn't happen anymore, and so this is basically a 16:9 ratio, so widescreen ratio.
Right, and I think, and that's so important where the discoverability feature is concerned. Discoverability is something that really sets Ripply apart from other maybe virtual community type of platforms. And so I talk to my clients often about really utilizing the real estate that's given to them when there is discovery available to make sure that their stuff gets seen. And so we work so hard, right, on that thumbnail image to make sure that we're not overlapping the title, the description, and what's on the image. And then we had the smaller ratio. So it was like, womp womp. Cuts it right off.
Got you.
You thought you did good. But so this is really, I'm so excited. I'm so excited about that.
And there will be more customization capabilities in the future. It's not a priority, but I'm definitely thinking, for example, as well in the community page, the Wave page, maybe to have a little bit more discretion on a number of things. I'm not going to say anything more. More
It
customization.
gives us things to talk about here on the
Yeah.
Rippily Show, for sure. Well, thank you, Claudio, as always, for coming by today to give us the latest on what's happening behind the scenes of the Rippily platform. And we look forward to lots more to come.
Yeah, I mean, just the last thing is I'm actually working behind the scenes right now to do a couple of things. One is pre-production, so that there's a number of really tricky tests that I cannot do otherwise in my local machines. And but actually, in the next couple of days, probably we're going to have a much bigger server as well for the media part. So it's going to be multi-node, which maybe will help for the expo as well, because tons of people will come.
We love that. We love that. All right. Thanks, Claudio, for coming by today. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, please welcome back to the show the incredible Peggy McCartha.
Yes. So, Jessica, before we get started, I just have to talk about the thumbnails and discoverability. So, for the expo, I spent no less than 30, probably more than 30 minutes just checking that thumbnail and then going back and looking at it in discovery and tweaking it a little bit, just for the very next day Claudio go, look, I fixed. I was like, good, thank you very much. I'm very happy that no one else will have to go do that.
Yeah, it's so good though, because I think, you know, it makes it really challenging. It was making it really challenging to design something that was good for one space, but then the other space it was off. And so then when you would try to adjust it for that one, it didn't look right on the other one. And so this is part of it though, like how active we have been of communicating with Claudio and saying, hey, this is what's working, this is what's not working from our side of it. And then if he wants to, he can go, I agree, and fix it for us.
Right. Or tell us to pull out our roll of duct tape and figure it out. He's actually never told me that. He's always
yes.
I usually pull out my roll of duct tape and start working on it. And then he's like, oh, I can just fix that. And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, so yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the same thing for me. I do whatever I can to make something work. And then it's so nice though, when something is shifted on Ripley's side to where you don't have to work as hard anymore. So it's good. But all right. So big topic today, as we're talking about events, expos, open houses, and self-led spaces. And I realized when I put those things together, as I was mentioning in the intro, that some people would be like, but those are very different things. Self-led space might be like one person in there, whereas an expo might have a ton of people in there. But it's not about the amount of people. It's about the usability of the space without you having to handhold every single person that comes through the door. So how has that experience been for you in designing the Global Business Expo? Because those are some of the things that you have to think about. You can't follow everybody around like a little puppy dog through the whole thing.
Thank God. Because I love all of our exhibitors. We have literally the most amazing exhibitors in any business expo I've ever been to or been involved in. And also y'all are like herding cats. So
at the both same time, everybody, just
at the same time, equal love and respect. And love. Oh my God, just hit reply to this email.
Yes.
But seriously, I think that when we're building experiences, that we should always imagine that we're not there. Even if the space that we're building is meant for us to be there with the people, when somebody walks in and everything makes sense and they can explore on their own without you having to hold their hand and show them and, and all of that, I think it's a better experience, even when it is guided, when that. And so whenever I'm building, I'm always thinking about if I were there, if this was the first time I'm seeing this space, if I came in, what am I going to do first? Where am I going to go? Where's my eyes? 30 plus years of being a photographer, I'm always, where do my eyes go? Because when you take a portrait, your eyes are supposed to go to a certain space. They're supposed to make eye contact. They're supposed to circle the photograph and come back to the eyes. And that's how I think about every experience. Where is that attention grabber? Where am I going when I'm in there? And this is our 9th expo, but it is our very first expo on Rippily. And so I am not new to building expos or events that are virtual. However, the experience on Rippily, can I just say, sometimes I'm like, and this is the first one. So there's obviously a lot of new things that have to be in place. But after you get that first one done, I'm like, oh my gosh, like next expo is going to be so easy. This expo is so easy compared to all of the hours and hours of things that I had to do before just to make, the experience good. And Rippily is built because it's not just me thinking about the experience. How can I use this platform to make the experience good? The actual platform is built to make the experience. It's there to help me do that. So I'm not having to get the roll of duct tape out and, stand on a chair and balance and, it's literally built into the platform to make it easy for me to make the experience amazing for the attendees to come. And that's something that I've never experienced before. And obviously I am a bit partial. Like I am kind of, Jessica and I may fight over who's the biggest fan of Rippily, but that said, these are tools that, that I've been using for a long time, and to be able to come in and just have things happen intuitively and have things available for me that I don't have to, duct tape to make work, so to say.
Right. I'm putting a poll over in the chat for you guys. When you enter a new virtual space, what's the most important? You can't pick multiple answers for this one. You got to pick the first one that stands out to you. Knowing where to start, understanding what's available, attractive design and visuals, or easy navigation. Most important to you when you enter a brand new virtual space. You got a couple minutes there to chime in on that.
I'm chiming in on that one.
So as we're having this conversation, Peggy, I wanted to talk about a few different points about self-guided spaces or things like expos where people are kind of picking and choosing what they want to participate in. So I think the first thing that I want to say is that a lot of times self-guided spaces are harder than they look. And so you might go in, a lot of times when we're participating in something, we're seeing the end result. We don't see all of the little bits and pieces that go into these events. And so I think a lot of times as we are creating these events, we assume that the visitors are thinking like we're thinking about it, and they're not, because they don't know our plan. They don't know what the goal is. And so it's sort of a curse of knowledge, so to speak, of like knowing everything that's going on, but you have to assume that everybody else coming in is a first-time visitor and they have no clue. What is like the most challenging part of that for you, Peggy?
It's exactly what you said, is thinking about, if I knew nothing, what would I do? And I think that's a big challenge for businesses in general, because we have this offer and we put out this offer to people and we're like, why isn't this offer selling? And it's because they don't know what the heck you're talking about.
Right.
Because you live with this. This is your baby. You know every single thing about it. And so you tell them the thing that you think they need to know, but you left out the most important thing, which is why, what it does, what the point is. And I think when we're building virtual spaces, it's the same thing. We have this full big picture of, I'll give you an example. I built the booth for the Global Business Plaza for the Expo. And I was very proud of myself because I have little hidden things everywhere. Because I wanted people to discover cool things about the Global Business Plaza, but B, discover really cool things about Ripley while they were there.
Right.
And so I had my husband go through my room, and I said, I didn't say anything. I was like, just go look at it. And he was like, it's pretty. And I was like, because I'm going to click on stuff. Like, you don't have to tell me twice. In fact, because I'm a moderator, I see the behind the scenes, and there's literally a note in the behind the scenes that says, Peggy, don't click on anything. It's a problem. So you don't have to tell me twice to click on things. But here he was like, it's pretty. And I was like, I don't want this room to be pretty. I was like, click on stuff. And he was like, oh, and he clicked. And I said, did you find everything? And he said, yeah. And I was like, what did you find? And he found like 3 things. And I was like, that's not everything. And so I realized that I needed to put a sign up that says, click around and find. Right. So far, you found 0 of 12. And, now they know what to expect. And I didn't think about that, because how do people know if they found everything if they don't know how many they're supposed to find?
Right.
And it's just things like that we don't think of because we know.
Right. And so it's no surprise that our poll results, the number one answer when you enter a new virtual space, what's the most important? Knowing where to start.
No. And a lot of people that are coming to our spaces are not used to interactive spaces that, are so amazing. So they don't know. They're like, oh, that's pretty. Look at that. Well, no, make yourself a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I did see we did have 30% of the vote going to easy navigation. Again, that's another, I think the easy navigation and also the understanding what's available to you, those all sort of tie into knowing where to start. And then of course, the attractive design and visuals, that is such a benefit here on Ripley. That's just the cherry on top of all of it, that we really do have potential to create something beautiful and functional.
I think this space is a really good example of that. I mean, the Rippily Show. I remember the first time I saw this, the first time you showed it to me before we had the first show, you showed me this room and I was jumping out of my skin. I was like, I wanted to scream. I wanted to dance. I wanted to cry. I was like, oh my God, this is just so amazing. You feel like you're part of the audience. Right now we've got audience members sitting out here. Later, you will see them sitting on the side. And it's just, it makes you feel, images have power. The colors, the positioning, where things are, it really affects our emotions. And when you think about that, you think about how they feel, you're guiding them. It's not always just about what they can click, but it's about what they see and how they interact with that and how it makes their emotions feel. And you can lead them through places with very little, fancy things. You can lead them through a whole story just very simply. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I'm going to be touching on very shortly here is giving you guys a little preview of what we're going to talk about on the Ripley Dive. So hang on for that on Saturday. But the other thing I wanted to talk about this is really, navigation can seem like such a, we'll call it like a PDF versus an image. Like navigation's like a sort of like the PDF, right? It's like, it's going to tell you the information that you need to know. And so we don't always think of that. That's not always the exciting piece of building for people, is the navigation, but it really is experience design. Visitors should always know, and I would love for you guys to put this in the chat as I'm saying them. Number one, where am I? The visitors need to know where they're at. What are they going to experience in this space? Number two, what can I do? What can I do? And number 3, where should I go next? You know, decision fatigue is a real thing. And especially in our spaces where we can get real excited about having 90 things for people to click on, but then they can get burnt out with that really quickly. And so how do you keep yourself we'll do a little tip here. How do you keep yourself excited about maybe some of the more monotonous things like coming up with navigation or something like that in the spaces that you're building for the expo?
I never thought of them as the PDFs are the boring part. I think I like that. I like, because I think I like watching people know what to do and where to go. So I think that excites me, is to be able to, you know, put arrows, you know, Claudio will tell you how excited I was the first time that I was able to put arrows. That's because the expo room is a really long room, and you know, people don't always think to scroll.
Right.
And so when I was able to put arrows that said, you know, down and up, and people could touch them and they would, you know, step them down through the room, like, it blew my mind. I was like, this is so awesome, because people see an arrow and they know what to do with it. You don't have to say click. You don't have to say anything. It's like, oh, even if they don't click the actual arrow, they'll know to scroll. Like, either way, they know, hey, there's something else down here that I don't see on my screen. I need to go check that out.
Right.
And so I love leaving the map. I love the navigation, and I love being creative on how that is. Is it a word? Is it something, you know, that's like a doorway, that when you hover over it, it says, yes, click on me. You know, what is it? You know, I love leaving the map.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Carolee was saying in the chat, finding a place to put them that feels realistic is also fun. Like, if we're really designing for a certain look, it can be a lot of fun to try to figure out, okay, where can we put things that are for navigation wise, that does make it pretty, that ties into the space that we're working on. And speaking of all of that, let's talk about what's going to happen at the Rippily Dive on Saturday. So I am very excited. The Rippily Dive happens every Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Say hello, everybody, to our fabulous studio audience today. Good to see you. So we've been having some fun with some different things in the Rippily Dive, and I think this coming week we are going to work on breadcrumbs, signposting, and navigation specifically. So that'll be fun to dive in some different ways to leave signposting for people to know what to do next, because you know, if you haven't already evaluated, if you have an expo booth and you haven't already evaluated, hey, do people know what to do when they get here? Unless you're planning on sitting there for 12 hours straight and not using the bathroom, ladies and gentlemen. We got to figure that out, right? Claudio, do you have any thoughts about you know, running bigger events and more of like the self-led experiences for people?
Well, you know, like in terms of self-led, I created a lot of rooms in the past about you know, that use a lot of storytelling, right? You don't have to explain it, right? You have like a scene, and then you basically have like a dialogue that says click here to go next, right? And so people have been navigating automatically through that. I think, you know, it really takes a lot of work or observation about what others do, so that a user that enters the room doesn't have to think. You know, that's a mantra in terms of user experience. There is a book about other stuff, but basically said the title is "Don't Make Me Think." And in order to do that, you really need to be a strong observer. There's other people in the community who are doing a lot of great things. Maybe you can, you know, steal a little bit. But the other thing is to think really, really hard, because we've seen a lot of examples where people would create maybe a lot of really fancy rooms with a lot of stuff, but then really, really hard to understand, where am I? Right, you get lost into this kind of number of scenes and rooms, and And that's, again, the concept of breadcrumbs is a good one, because you can look at how, the internet and HTML has been doing this stuff in the past. There are some patterns. Those are user interface patterns that are fairly common. And so let's not restrict ourselves in thinking, okay, we're in Rippily, we can do everything. Yeah, that's fine. But there are already existing ways that people figured out on how to navigate and so on, that maybe could be a good idea to borrow ideas from.
Right. And there is a poll in the chat. There's about 20 seconds left you can participate in. Could your current space function successfully if you weren't there? Yes, completely, mostly, with a few questions, probably not, or I'm not sure yet. That is the question you can chime in on. Peggy, any final thoughts from you on any of the bigger things that you think about when designing spaces for an expo-like experience, or something that we've got a lot of people sort of coming in and out?
Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I think a lot of times people want to just pack things full and they forget the purpose. And if the purpose is showing off every single thing that you ever have learned, then do it, because that's a purpose. But if the purpose is leading them through an experience, telling them about your business, guiding them to a call to action, then sometimes less is more. And the overwhelming an attendee, overwhelming a potential client, isn't going to help anybody. So if know why you're building, know who you're building it for, know the outcome that you want to happen when that happens. Now, there was a long time ago, Claudio, it was a long time ago, but you built an amazing room for an expo, and it was a call to action. It was the best. Like, you went in and it guided you through. And, the last saying is, well, are you going to be part of the problem or part of the solution? Click here, basically. And you sold more at that expo than any other exhibitors ever sold that I know of, that anybody's ever told me. And usually people come and tell me like, oh, I made so many sales, or I did, and, because you did it with purpose, you did it with a reason. And when we think about our who, our why, then all the rest of it will fall into place. So I always tell people, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Absolutely. Raise your hand in the audience if you have an expo booth. Who can we come see at the expo coming up? I saw Kara Lee. Oh, I see Shadows. There we go. All right. So you can visit Kara Lee. Shadows Artemis has a booth as well. And of course, Peggy, myself, Claudio. Claudio, you're not going to be there, right? Like, this isn't your cup of tea.
I will be there. I will definitely be there. Nikos is going to be back. And but Peggy, I remember that room. And basically, I remember at the very end, there was a door, right? 2 doors. It was mimicking the Matrix. Choose A, you join us, the revolution, this and that. You join B, be like everyone else. And, you have, it was pretty fun in that way. But it's true. Purpose first. But sometimes you don't even have to create like a whole story to get to the point. It may be as simple as, can't you find me? Book me here.
Yeah. Simple is sometimes good, especially if I find that I'm not clear with what I'm trying to present in any given situation, then I will overcomplicate it and I will put too much in there about anything. Sometimes things that don't make any sense at all. And then people get overwhelmed, and that's not the experience that I want to create for people. So always thinking about that, I think, is important. Our poll results: could your current space function successfully if you weren't there? 50% said mostly, with a few questions. 25% said yes, completely. 25% also said probably not. We gotta work on that, guys. But
guys.
Nobody said they're not sure, so that's good. Awareness is the first step. So it's important to think about: can your space pass the walk away test? What if you're not able to be in there? Can visitors still succeed? And it's important to design for both autonomy and confidence of your attendees or visitors in your space. So important things to think about. Any final thoughts from anybody up here today? Any final things? Maybe we are delusional.
Yeah, that's what I just wrote, right? Maybe we're just delusional. We think we are ready, but I totally agree with who did the test. Peggy, you just did the test of taking someone like your husband, basically, to see your room. It's not a bad test at all. This is something that we do very often, right? To create maybe landing pages or interfaces or anything. Take a friendly stranger. Well, in your case, it's not a stranger, but at least it's friendly. Just to bring them in front to see how they behave, and sometimes it can be very frustrating. Why they're not clicking there? That button is so big. And but that happens.
Yeah. Yes, it does. It does. I had several people test the room, and I made several tweaks because I thought for sure it's like so obvious. I'm like, it's a big button at the top of the room. But and you always have to think, not everybody thinks like you. So, getting other people's perspectives always helps. And you're not going to reach everybody all the time, but you will reach your people, because if you're intentional about it, the mass amount of people will be able to figure it out.
We have to not so gently kind of get over ourselves a little bit when it comes to showing other people, the spaces, and understanding that they don't, like you said, Peggy, they don't think the way that we do in every situation. And I think the question that those of us who we get attached to the look of it, or we love how, I think at the end of the day, if we want to make a difference, if we want people to come back to our space, if we want to connect with more people, we have to ask ourselves, what's more important, that it's exactly the way we envisioned it, or that people want to come back, that they know where to click, that they know what to do, they know how to connect with you.
Last year for the expo, I made the probably coolest booth I've ever made. It was a Mission Impossible booth, and I loved it so much. I loved everything about it. I mean, I had the music, I had the videos, I had how many conversions I got from that? 0, absolutely 0. So, it goes back to, you have to think about the other people, not about you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, for everybody that's in the studio audience today, you are going to enjoy your swag bag. If you are not in our studio audience and you're like, hey, I want a swag bag, you can apply by going to the link that's in our Rippily studio chat here. It's pinned. You can go and check that out. And in today's swag bag is also included a free experience audit by myself. I will come in and take a look at your space, and I don't do the free ones often, so take advantage of it. If you want that extra pair of eyes to come in and just say, hey, what is the experience that you're looking for? Let's tweak it a little bit. I would love for you to take advantage of that, as well as among some other things. We've got a gift from Peggy, we have a badge, of course, and we have all kinds of stuff in the swag bag also. Peggy, what is the big news about next week's episode of The Rippily Show?
Next week, The Rippily Show is going to be streaming live from the Expo. So you are not going to want to miss being a part of that. The Expo, can I just plug the Expo right now, Jessica? May I?
Yes.
May I? The Expo is next Tuesday, 1 week from today, June 9th, 2026. It is...
Everybody send good vibes to Claudio right now.
It is from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. And we hope that you'll be awake wherever you are in the world. You'll be awake at least part of that. We have keynote speaker. We have really cool conversations. We have panel discussions. And of course, well over 40 booths with amazing businesses, and you can go in and meet people, talk to people. And as cool as the expo is, you are what makes it amazing, because it is nothing if you don't show up and build those relationships and make those connections. So please come. It is no financial fee to you. You are the currency. We want you there because you make the expo amazing.
We're excited. Claudio's excited. I could tell.
Claudio,
he has a few less hairs on his head right now.
Claudio has been listening to me say, hey, wouldn't it be nice if, and he has just come through like you're going to have an amazing experience, especially if you've ever been to any past expos. You need to come to this one, because boy, do we have some surprises for you.
Yeah, it's going to be so fun and exciting. Claudio, do you want to how is it for you being the sponsor of this wonderful event?
Oh, I'm super excited to be, this is really like the first expo. I have big memories of my very first expo. And I always love like every edition. And so like, it's really good to have an opportunity to have Rippily in this, and to also think, some of the features that emerged recently, like the Ripple card, came out because of that, right? So, like it's a really good feature, but it's especially useful for a situation like this one. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm less looking forward at finishing my boot because I keep adding things and fixing and do stuff. I need to work on the boot for sure.
Yeah, we're going to have to ground you from doing any more Rippily updates, and so you have a day or two to work on your booth.
Yeah,
exactly. And then freeze, right? Stop me from updating everything.
Yes,
just in case.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you both for being here on the show today. Always glad to have you. Make sure you guys get registered. Attend.globalbusinessplaza.com, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time. That's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. Timeanddate.com is your friend, and go check out what time that is in your area. Again, attend.globalbusinessplaza.com. Go get registered for that, and we look forward to having you there. Another huge thank you to Peggy and Claudio for joining us today. And I just want to remind everybody, don't leave people wondering where to go next. Make sure you create clarity, momentum, confidence in your users, in your participants, in your members, in your communities, and make sure you're intentional about it. And we're going to be diving into that on the Rippily Dive coming up this Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Come and join us for that. We would love to have you there. If you're not yet on Rippily, why not? Go to rippily.com, get your account, book a demo, and come have fun with us. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and we will see you again next week on another episode of The Rippily Show, live from the Global Business Expo. See you guys next time. Bye, everybody.